This year at BSIR, we're going to rebrand the Women and Diversity Committee into two sections. The first is the rebranding of the headline of the committee, and we're going to change it to DEI, which is Diversity, Inclusion and Equality. And the other section will be still some focus on women in IR, which will become a specialist interest group, or SIG. The work we've done in the group in the last couple of years has been tremendous, but I think there's a lot more work to be done. And we realize there's an accessibility issue to IR, both before people get into medical school, so access from that aspect, as well as getting into IR from radiology and medical school. And there's lack of exposure. So we're very keen to include that, because as a workforce issue, we need to make sure that everyone from all walks of life comes in, and it shouldn't be just a focus on gender or race. So that's why we thought rebranding it would actually be in line with what the Royal College of Radiology is also doing, to ensure that we increase the workforce and provide equality for all, basically. The numbers, especially from the session we just had about the resilience by Dr. Oberoi, were actually quite headline and catchy. And essentially what it shows is that there's a massive workforce issue across the UK, and we're going to be 3,000 radiologists short by 2025. Now, we know that 60% of students in medicine are women, and yet in IR that number drills right down to 12%. So there's a huge workforce issue from the fact that we're losing the majority of the students. But also in IR, it's something around 300 something posts that are unfilled in IR, which is resulting in patient harm. Essentially, there's a postcode lottery. Not everyone is getting emergency care that they need and life-saving care. So the workforce issue is a much bigger issue about patient care and access to healthcare, which we know the NHS is focusing on to ensure that there's homogeneity of care, which currently doesn't exist for IR. To increase the access and increase numbers is a challenging one, but we know that we need more posts for training, and this has just been changed recently by the Royal College. We have quite a shift in the number of training posts. The second will be to actually increase accessibility and allowing those who didn't know about IR or medicine to be told about it, to come into it. And I think the women in IR issue still needs to be focused, because we don't fully understand why we're losing women in IR. We know that 40% of women in surgery, the number's much better than it used to be, but we haven't managed it in radiology, in IR, sorry. And so that's going to be our focus, to make sure that they know about the pre-misconceptions that exist for maybe historically why they wouldn't come into IR. And I'm hoping that in the next few years, we'll see some noticeable changes in the numbers.